strategic move that Eddie is making for AJ. Why are you not thinking, let's get him set up for
kind of animal?
If that was years and years and years ago. Like, Clarissa is a way different fighter from when she was back in.
Thanks to those joining me live and to those that will be joining me on our
defenses that she's had to have recently. You know, she's pulled people.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the RoundTable about tribalism. I don't think tribalism is necessarily bad. I just don't think it has to be.
I don't know what he think he sees or what he think he know. But he going to the hospital, bro. Like, bro, you not winning that fight.
You guys mentioned, I think, Adisal, you mentioned him versus Regis Prograis. I'd love that. Sounds like a
old. I don't need you, you know, and PBC and others, in my opinion, it's like, oh, this is my guy. Like, there's a relationship.
Flat out, it's tough, and we call box, and we go to the end of the round, and then
that would say, what do you mean by acting flat? That's a fair question, but a participant of trash talk knows.
And they're announcing a fight 3-4 months from now, and he ain't gonna fight. I bet you anything, he's not gonna fight somebody as good as John Ryder. What's going on, everybody? D-Style Boxing here. Another edition of the Roundtable, episode 133. All right? You got to learn Spanish nowadays to know what that means, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. Thanks to those joining me live. Those will be joining me on archive. I'll be joined by Joe Habib for Ringside Reporter. In the ring with Christine. Shout out to Christine from Women Crushing It Wednesday. Check out show every Wednesday. And of course, Mario Munguia from In Fighting Pod. Calix will be joining us later in the podcast. A lot to talk about here. A lot to cover here. All right. We're going to start off with this past weekend. All right. Let's go ahead and look at the two fights in our heads again. Wood outboxes Mauricio Lara, Bronco Lara after getting his revenge, outboxing a man that knocked him out. He goes in there in the lion's den. Okay, outboxes him thoroughly, like 10-2, 11-1, whatever he scored it. All right, 9-3 is the best I saw out there, and that's being very generous for Mauricio Lara, if I'm honest. And of course, we had El Venado Lopez, who came out and dominated Michael Conlan and knocked him out in Ireland. Okay, and then he donated his fight gloves to a kid from Ireland. So he did something good for Ireland. You know what I mean? Joe Beeb, who had the best performance? Which performance stood out to you of those two? Which featherweight owned Saturday night?
It was tough because Lee Wood was a huge underdog, as we all know. A lot of people weren't picking him. Lara had some issues with the weight, but that shouldn't take anything away from what Wood did. But that knockout from Lopez was stunning. That's like a highlight reel knockout. That could be knockout of the year candidate right there. But because of how big of an underdog Lee Wood was, I think I'm going to have to give it to him. And he did win extremely decisive. I think after the fifth round, I didn't give Lara a round. I just was like checking 10-9, 10-9, 10-9, 10-9, 10-9. It was like wash, rinse, repeat. It was that dominant of a performance. So I'm going to have to say Lee Wood because he put himself right back in the picture.
Okay. All right. Christine, talk to us. Which featherweight had the better performance on Saturday?
You know, Lara didn't look himself. Lee Wood looked great. You know, him being the underdog, like Beeb said. Conlan's my guy. I was rooting for him, even though I knew he had a very tough opponent on his hands with Venado. But I'm going to give it to Venado because he is so awkward. It's like you cannot predict where his shots are going to come from. He's super long. He's super strong. Even though he's not the typical boxer because of his awkwardness, he did a great job, and he looked good doing it. So I'm going to definitely give it to Venado.
To El Venado Lopez. Que no le griten en la esquina. Look, Mario Munguia, who had, do you agree with Beeb? or do you agree with Christine? And no offense, right? I don't want to hear.
Oh, dude.
You know, like, both.
already.
I can't decide.
Damn, bro,
It's
this early in the show,
impossible.
give me one.
It's a tie. Like, no ties. There's no ties.
Okay, so then if there's no ties, I'm gonna say Lee Wood. I want to say Venado. I do, for every reason that Christine said. And here's the other real quick point I'll make. If you had to show a potential fight fan a 15, 30-second clip of the fight, can you find a better 15, 30-second clip of the Lee Wood fight or Lee Wood win than you could other than Venado? I don't think that's possible. And for those reasons, he probably made more fans on ESPN. All the reasons point to him having the better night. For me, Lee Wood showed something in that fight that I wasn't sure he had. He showed the ability. Look, I've never thought he was like a one-dimensional fighter, but I never thought that he was great at making adjustments, not in the fight and not coming into the fight. So for him to go out there and do things the right way, fix some of the issues, and then at the same time not change so much that he still managed to find some of the similar success that he found in fight one with Lara. Wood showed me a lot in that fight, and I already expected a lot from Venado. So, for me, Wood gets that credit.
All right. Okay. Shout out to Collazo did win, I believe it was a minimum weight title for Puerto Rico. Shout out to him. No doubt about that. And Roach had a great performance too that day. But out of these two, I got to call it a draw. I think it's even. It's kind of hard to say. No. You know what?
Oh, man.
I thought about this one. I thought about it. And I'm going to have to actually, I had it made up in my mind that it was going to be Venado Lopez. I had it made up in my mind that that's what's going to be my answer. But the more I thought about it, I thought to myself, what Lee Wood did, given the fact that this is a man that had already knocked him out. Imagine Conlan coming back and outboxing Venado Lopez for 12 rounds in one-sided fashion in the rematch. That's kind of the equivalent. That's kind of what Lee Wood did. Lee Wood got a rematch because there was a rematch clause. Right? Nobody really wanted to see the fight. And people like myself were saying the inevitable is going to happen. He's going to get knocked out again. The inevitable. You remember what Dano said? I am inevitable. And he snapped his fingers. And then Iron Man, did the trick. He's like, he said, I am Lee Wood. You know what I mean? It's not inevitable. And
how the movie went.
It went something like that. I remember,
dude, I haven't seen it.
I got it wrong. But you got the gist of it, though, right? You got the gist of it. But if Marvel sues us, Beeb will pay the bill anyway. But with that said, I think the fact that he did it throughout a course of 12 rounds, and we could argue all day about Lara's preparation. Did he train serious or not? None of that's Lee Wood's problem, nor his fault. He did his job and he did it well, and he got a knockdown in the fight and did a good job. I mean, he got the attention of Lara, and you could maybe argue, put an exclamation point and made a case for being the best featherweight in the world. I don't think he is, but he made a case for it, without a doubt. So I'm going to say Lee Wood. And disagreeing with the poll, the audience has it 86% to Venado Lopez and 50% Lee Wood. It was a great knockout by Venado Lopez for sure, without a shadow of a doubt. Just really quick around the panel. Who's the best? Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think the reason why I couldn't give it to Lee Wood, even though he looked better in this fight, was because Lara was not his self, and the outcome was the same. It's like, he had moments where he looked better. He did, but you have to look at the big picture. And Lara didn't look himself,
Right.
So he I don't know. It just, but I respect your opinion.
That's
even
a fair
if it's
point.
wrong.
The chat agrees with you. I mean, look at 85%.
Of course they do. Of course they do, because I'm right.
How much you pay these people to vote your way or whatever? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, oh, well, he did better than last time, so I'm going to give it to him. Or even, it's just, you got to look at the big picture. You can't think about those things. Like, what did it look like? What was the fight about? I don't know, but that's just the way I look at it.
No, I agree with a lot of what he said. Look, Venado Lopez look good, but I want to ask panel. B, right now, you see there's Lee Wood, there's Venado Lopez. Lara's still there, I guess. I don't know if he's going to stick around or not in the division, but you have Robesi Ramirez, right? Who, in your opinion, right now, just looking at the field, is the best featherweight in the world right now? Is it Lee Wood?
I'm gonna be honest. I kind of like Lee Wood, man. I like the fact that he's very versatile. I love guys who are versatile. And he's tall, he's long, but I love guys who are big that could fight on the inside too, like tall and long, and then they can fight on the inside. I really like Lee Wood's style. I do. And I like the fact that he can punch a little bit. I think he's the dark horse. I'll be honest. I like what I saw on Saturday, and I don't want to take too much away from Lee Wood because Lara didn't look the greatest. I think that Lee Wood had to overcome a lot in that fight emotionally too, like getting yourself mentally prepared to go in there with a guy who knocked you out viciously and just put you to sleep. That wasn't just like a ref waving it off. Like he was out.
Let me put the names out there. This is Robesi Ramirez, the Cuban gold medalist. Okay,
a little early for him.
We've got Brandon Figueroa, right? Lee Wood, obviously. Luis Alberto Lopez, and of course, Brandon Figueroa. I would say those are the guys in contention. Who would you say is number one?
I think Lopez would probably be ranked number one out of that.
Okay,
because of what he's done. I think he's been more consistent, recently. So I think he deserves that. And plus, Conlan's a good fighter too. Like that was a pretty close, like in terms of like on paper, how that fight was put the like that. Like a lot people thought Conlan had a chance. I thought Conlan was going to win, right? But he couldn't hold up to the power. He got put to sleep. It's vicious. It was a vicious uppercut. So. Yeah, I think Lopez deserves to be number one, but I think Lee Wood can beat him. As crazy as that sounds, I think he can beat him.
All right. Christine? Who's the best featherweight for you?
So my choices are the Figueroa, as you said, Robesi.
Yeah, you got. This is who I believe. I don't think you could put anybody above any of these guys. You got, of course, Brandon Figueroa. He's new to the division, but Robesi Ramirez. All right, Ray Vargas. Venado Lopez and Lee Wood.
I'm going to have to go with, I think Robesi's coming, but I agree with Beeb. It's a little early, but I think Venado, and the reason why I say that is because he is so awkward. And as a coach, how do you train to fight this guy where these punches are coming from everywhere? You don't know where they're coming from. They're long. He's hella strong. He's unorthodox. So how do you train for someone like that? It would have to be a chess genius to beat him, and your timing has to be perfect. I think that right now he's going to be at the top of the game for a while just because of his awkwardness and his strength.
Okay, all right. Mario, what have you?
Yeah, I'm going to say for me personally, like if I had to say who I thought that people had ranked or who I thought deserved to be ranked at a certain place, I would say it was Brandon. I think that feels like the right answer. I don't know why. But for me personally, on the Mario rankings, I have Lopez as the guy to beat. I mean, not the guy to beat, but the guy that I could see him beating everybody. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that he's, 80-20 versus any one of these fighters. All I'm saying is that I see a method with his ability to beating every single of the guys that you just mentioned. But I want to make it very clear that because I pick him first doesn't mean that, like, we're so used to in boxing having the guy at the top and everybody else trying to chase him, right? My favorite era of boxing was the featherweight era of the Pacquiao, Morales, Barrera, Marquez. And what the beauty of this featherweight era is, they all have losses. None of them are perfect. Every single fighter you just mentioned does not have to protect an O. That is usually why the lower weight classes are so much better when it comes to guys fighting each other. Instead, we're waiting for July 29th for a fight that we probably should have gotten years ago. We definitely should have gotten years ago. So the fact that these guys, A, are fighting each other, B, aren't protecting any sort of O, and C, are living up to the era of featherweights for which you can say they were like the best. All of them were great at one thing or another, and you really couldn't hold one above the other like in a definitive manner until they fought each other. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I respect about this era of featherweight. So even though I'm going to say that it is Venado, I, 100% would love to see them all fight each other.
Look, a lot of people are not like, I'm very high on Venado Lopez, but and this, I'm going to admit that this is mainly by eye test. Like, I'm going to be honest, but I think Robeisy Ramirez is the guy to beat in this division. I would favor him against anybody in this division
right now.
Robeisy Ramirez,
like
yes,
immediately
sir.
Tomorrow,
right now, this moment, as we're breathing right now. Yes, on June 1st, 2023, 5:22 Mountain Time, I would favor Robeisy Ramirez. I think he's a superior boxer to Lee Wood. I think he hits just as hard, if not harder, than Lee Wood. I don't know who it's harder, him or Venado Lopez, but the problem with Venado Lopez is just that Conlan couldn't really take, and even Warrington couldn't take advantage of this. He squares up a lot when he throws combinations. Robeisy Ramirez is going to be able to I think expose that. I think. I just think he is. I think he has the right amount of power, very good boxing skills. You don't beat Shakur Stevenson in the gold medal match if you don't got boxing skills. Okay, and he's got it in abundance. Had a rough start, lost his pro debut, got knocked down in the fight. Some people still felt he won, but he came back, he avenged it. And since then, what he did to Supernova, that just destroyed him, annihilated him, and knocked him out that way. Nova's no slouch himself, and he destroyed him. Dogbe controlled him the whole fight. Dogbe was never in that fight. So to me, he's the best featherweight in the world right now. I'm going to give it to the Cuban. It's my opinion. But people, if you want to rate, if you do a ranking, of course, Venado probably goes above it. I'm just going by eye test when I believe would win. If you matched them all, if you did a round robin, had them all fight each other, that's who I would favor personally, right? Now we're going to go ahead and proceed here. Our favorite promoter, Oscar de la Hoya. He's been doing the rounds. He does an interview with Villegas and talking about how he wants to do Pacquiao versus, Ryan. He's excited about it. And he's asking people, who do you want to see Ryan fight? And people keep telling him the same thing. Ryan already told us what he wants. To make matters worse, Ryan's management keeps saying, I don't know what Oscar's talking about. We didn't meet with him. We don't know what he's talking about. We already told him what we want. Ryan is coming out saying, he's quote tweeting the interviews of De La Hoya saying, this is getting annoying. I already said what I want. I'm not interested in any of these ideas. Ryan also came out and he said he didn't like how he was treated after the fight by his team. He felt abandoned. Said Tank's team treated him better. The whole nine. Mario, what's going on, man? Do you feel sorry for De La Hoya like I do? What's going on with all this, bro? What do you make of all this?
I make of this that these are two entities, right, that are supposed to be working together that have not seen eye to eye in I don't know how long. We all know the issues that Ryan and De La Hoya have had in the past. We know that there was a very close time where Ryan was thinking about leaving and suing and doing all sorts of things to get out of that contract. De La Hoya managed to hold on, right? What happened at the press conference where De La Hoya didn't show up for Ryan, I think had an impression that affected everybody in the world. Like everybody gave their 2 cents, and Ryan is kind of feeding off of that a little bit. He was on Bradley Martin's podcast as well, and he talked about it. He said that, you know, he felt like all alone essentially. I actually have his quote, and he said that, you know, there were so many people. Oh, I'm sorry. That was De La Hoya's quote. He said, after the fight, nobody was there for me. My team just didn't come to the press conference. Somebody betrayed me in camp. I was left with that. I had Tank's team care about me more than my own team. And right there is the underlining factor of this issue. Because the truth is, Manny Pacquiao is a better fight for Ryan in the sense of making him more money and making him a bigger commercial star at a point where Pacquiao might be more vulnerable than he's ever been in his career. Ryan could take advantage of that. The commercial fans aren't going to know any better, right? That it's a washed Pacquiao. So all of that points to, you know, De La Hoya trying to continue to build Ryan in the same manner for which we've seen fighters built by promoters over the last 30, 40, 50, 60 years. But Ryan's coming in and wanting to do something different, fight the best available. Granted, Tio, Rolly, Pitbull, none of these are going to give you the same amount of hits that you got or buys that you got with Tank. And none of these guys are going to give you the same amount of buys as they would with Pacquiao. But here's Ryan planting his foot firm in the sand. Is he doing it because he has people, you know, yapping him up? I don't know. But all I know is that when he made the decision to accept the rehydration clause, something that De La Hoya and his team advised him against, he did it because he said he was doing this fight for the fans. And what ended up leading to that? We are now ready for a July 29th fight that none of us thought would ever come. And I honestly believe that Ryan and Tank's decision to fight is part of that. So if Ryan has the ability to spark some sort of influence in the young fighters coming up, and we don't have to wait for these guys to be in their 30s and 40s before they fight each other, then I say all power to Ryan. Because the last thing I'll say is, we all know the one thing that's never been true, but it's supposed to be true. The promoter works for the fighter. Ryan is the boss. He should have final say.
Man, Christine, what's going on? Is it trouble in paradise?
Oh, it's definitely trouble in paradise. Like Mario said, I mean, the promoter works for the fighter, and they're both spoiled brats. I mean, Oscar and Ryan, but there's definitely trouble. It's, you know, we heard De La Hoya saying Rolly first, then Pacquiao. Yeah, Pacquiao, for people that are, you know, casual fans would think, oh, he's fighting Manny Pacquiao. This is wonderful. For us, I don't care to see that fight. Like, I don't care to see Manny take, you know, a beating or whatever, and Ryan to, like, you know, get on the ropes like King Ryan, and he did something, you know. I know he mentioned he wanted to fight with Tio, Rolly, and I think Pitbull. I would prefer those fights as a boxing head. But it seems like there's been turmoil from the beginning, because Oscar's the golden boy and Ryan's the mini golden boy, and they both want to call the shots and they both want to be in charge, and it's very evident. I thought it was bullshit that they weren't there for the post fight conference, you know, interviews. He or who else? Bernard Hopkins. Neither one was there, because Oscar said he was getting death threats. Well, I'm sure it's the first time he's ever gotten death threats. You know. I thought that was really weak, and I think it has something to do with something else that was going on that maybe we don't know about. But he said, you know, Eric Gomez was there, so that's good. I don't know. I just think they're both spoiled. I don't know what's going to come. We'll have to just wait and see. It's kind of like a soap opera right now. But personally, I don't want to see Ryan and Pacquiao. I want to see Pacquiao like sailing on the ocean with his wife and, like, you know, drinking Mai Tais. You know, I don't want to see it personally.
Oh man, Mai Tai. That sounds like my favorite stripper from back in the day. Hey, Habib, Joe Habib, talk to us. What's going on with it? What do you make of all this? Because there's a lot there. But what are your thoughts on it?
I never like when the laundry gets aired out in public, the dirty laundry. I've just never been a fan of that. you have a problem with Oscar, go behind the scenes and talk to him. And Oscar, there's really something wrong with this guy. Him and Fury, they're just kind of attention seekers. They like to just say hyperbolic things just so they can grab headlines. I just don't think they have, really intellectually honest conversations with people. You could see like Oscar's face. It's almost like he's become a WWE character at this point, and it's kind of sad because this guy's a legend, and he had a good run not only as a fighter but as a promoter. He was killing it as a promoter when he first started, and then for whatever reason, he just couldn't cope with life, and it affected his professional life as well. His personal life kind of ran counterintuitive to his professional life, and it just wasn't a good thing. So yeah, they need to have a sit down. Both sides need to have a sit down. They have to talk it out, and they got to get on the same page, because Oscar De La Hoya had the same issue, as you said several times, with Canelo. And Canelo, I think, even he was getting frustrated. There was an incident where when Canelo got operated on his knee, and it wasn't an incredibly major surgery. It was kind of like he had like a cyst removed or whatever. And there's Golden Boys out there, or Oscars out there saying, oh, he had cartilage damage and this and that. And he's like, that's not what happened. And even Canelo, who keeps it pretty close to the vest, he went public and had to correct De La Hoya. So I guess what happens is you reach a certain point and you just can't keep it in anymore, and you have to respond. But I do think that they do have to sit down and have a conversation, most definitely.
Yeah, look, they say pictures can tell 1,000 words, right? I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, and for those that missed it, if you're listening, look at the screen right now.
I think you're taking them out of context a little bit there. A little CNN action right there. I don't like it.
But here's
CNN action.
I'm seeing. Obviously, it's symbolic. I mean, those guys, like Canelo, could have been looking at him because he told a stupid joke. Probably, we don't know, right?
But Jim Acosta right now, Jim Acosta.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I
love the editing. It's great.
Look, I'm trying to understand the parallels here, because there reached a point where Canelo was literally telling reporters, don't listen to Oscar. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And this was his promoter.
Yeah, that was bad.
He did say that.
Like, he's like, Oscar, he's a little crazy. Just don't listen to him. Like when you start, could you imagine like someone saying that about like Bob Arum? Like, could you just imagine don't listen to Arum. He's old and forgets things. Like, they don't say that about Arum. Like, fighters like Katie Taylor would never say, don't listen to Eddie Hearn. He doesn't know what he's talking about. AJ would never say, Eddie doesn't know what he's talking about. Don't listen to him. I'll tell you what I'm doing. Eddie, whatever he says, just disregard it. And right now, I feel like this is what's happening with Oscar and Ryan. It's a pattern of behavior. This guy is proposing fights. I don't know. There's people. There was somebody in the chat. You would watch Ryan versus Pacquiao. We watch everything. Of course, you would watch it.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? Like I don't like. But is it a good fight? Like, is it a fight you want to see? You know what I mean? Plus, I'm not honestly. I think Pacquiao still whoops his ass. It's got to be honest.
Yeah.
I think Pacquiao whoops Ryan's ass right now. Okay, I'm just putting that out there. But I don't want to see it, though. Just with that said, I don't want to see it. Like, don't make the fight. All right?
I'll watch midget wrestling. I mean, I'm sick.
I mean, yeah, like you know what I mean? Like, what do you mean? So what I'm saying is,
it's called Lucha Libre.
I feel sorry for Oscar, man. He congratulated Spence on like a new advisor, and then Spence quote tweets him and like, no, hold on, no. I still have Al Heyman. What the fuck you talking about? Like, he's getting corrected by people. Just feel they could just like they got no respect for him. And this is the golden boy. This was the face of boxing for like 7-8 years. Like there was a lot of respect in his name. His name was so respected that HBO gave him a blank check. HBO gave him blank dates. Whatever you want, Oscar, whatever main event you want to put, on Boxing After Dark and World Championship Boxing, we'll give you the date, Oscar. That's why HBO ended up just in bad relationships with all the other promoters because they were trying to cater to Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
But everything has just fallen apart. Fighters are talking back to him. They feel that they don't respect him no more. His own fighters are questioning him in public. Canelo's come out and just says he just says crazy things. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. Last year he was saying he wants to fight Canelo because he could beat him in a fight right now. Like, well, what are you talking about? So weird ass shit. Something is wrong with Oscar De La Hoya. So something's wrong with him. Go ahead, Mario.
Yeah, I think that you said it best. And I'll take it even a step further. It's like, because you said it, Oscar De La Hoya's name used to mean so much in the boxing world, right? And we can all remember that because it isn't that long ago. But today, spending time on boxing Twitter or social media, boxing, whatever, you see that De La Hoya is the punchline most of the time. You see that De La Hoya is just not cool, right? It's just like all I can imagine when I see some of the younger fans like posting is just like pictures of De La Hoya calling him a boomer, like crazy stuff, right? And that's how influenced I think that Ryan is by that social media world. He sees it all. He's of that generation that's completely consumed by it. You know what I mean? And so for it to hold so much weight, for social media and the people on there to hold so much weight on Ryan's decision making, he even tweeted out, by the way, that he loves involving his fans. Like, this was after he had put out his hit list or whatever. And so all of this, like, it I think boils down to just what you said. It is that he's just not cool anymore. It's like when you have like that really cool coach or that really big football player in the NFL that went to college and you use him to attract other football players in high school to your college team, right? De La Hoya was the recruiter. De La Hoya was showing up to people's houses once upon a time to, talk to their high school parents or to the parents of a high school kid to get them to sign. You know what I'm saying? So all of that gone, the luster of Golden Boy feels dampened because of that.
Yeah, like one of the reasons he had Senisa, she was from East LA. He was from East LA. There was that connection there, natural connection. He lost her. He doesn't have his matchmaker anymore. There's a lot of issues going on.
He still has Marlene.
He's got Marlene. Like that's all he's got. Who else he's got? Barbie Juarez. Like wow. Got Barbie Juarez, Mrs. You cheated.
You forgot one guy.
Virgil Ortiz.
Blair the Flair Cobbs.
Blair the Flair. Look, Virgil is his golden ticket. He's got Munguia, but like he's not even promoting Munguia right. Pretending to do Joe, like what are you doing? Just put him in good fights. But I don't know. I don't know. Is there still Golden Boy Promotions in 3 years, Christine? If you had to predict.
It doesn't look very promising. I mean, I don't know who he has and what kind of investors would want to put their money in there. Maybe they would if he maybe stepped aside a little bit and they could have full control. I think somebody would have to go in there and revamp it. But if it just continues on the road that it is now, I don't see it continuing. It's almost a sinking ship, but somebody would have to come in there and just totally revamp everything, in my opinion.
Yeah.
D, you're on mute.
Yeah. So look, he comes off as a jealous ex-girlfriend when he talks about Canelo. You know what I mean? Like, you promoted the guy for years and you start trash talking him when he leaves you. And then you say things like, oh, he should come back to Golden Boy. I know how to promote him. Like, bro, like that ship has sailed. And after all the things you said, I don't think he wants anything to do with you anymore, quite frankly. And then he goes to the Lomachenko-Haney fight. And then he tweets out, yeah, Haney beat Loma like Mayweather beat me. Like, damn. So you're telling people like Haney won clearly? Like, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah, no shit.
Like you somehow you inserted yourself in this thing. Like, just tell me you think
Yes.
Roma won. That's it. That's all you got to do.
It's the ego, bro.
I don't see you saying you're not mentioning the Stern fight. You're sure as hell not mentioning that fight. You know what I mean? Shout out to Tony Baja, by the way. Just got off work. Listen, appreciate you. Shout out to HLD, Resmack, Little El Chido, Lisa Bales, Sonteo Media. Anything else you guys want to add before we proceed on this Ryan Garcia De La Hoya saga?
I have an article coming out on the entire thing at New York Fight or on NewYorkFights.com if anybody wants to go check it out. That's all I'll add.
That's the place to go. You know,
There you
Mario
go.
let you know. You know what I mean? Now we will get to the Reynoso Samson thing, guys. Be patient. We're gonna get there, okay? But first, the WBA has ordered Rolly Romero, since we're talking about Ryan, to fight O'Hara Davies. Are you surprised the WBA is following its rules despite the more lucrative Ryan fight for Rolly possibly being on the table? They're actually following the rules, and Davies is saying, nah, you're going to have to fight me. It is what it is, right? Let's start with you, Mario. Are you surprised? And what do you think?
I was definitely surprised at first, for sure. I thought when I saw Ryan come out and put what he put, I said to myself, okay, this could maybe happen. You know, this works for everybody involved. Then after the WBA came out, or well, yeah, obviously after they came out and said it, it hit me. And I realized, no, they're backtracking it. They're trying to protect, I think, Rolly in this situation where he came out and made a challenge, right? But he was never going to be able to fight Ryan because of this mandatory. So to save face, here comes the WBA right away to say, no, you have a mandatory. You have a mandatory. Now you put Rolly in a position where you say, oh, well, do you want to fight Ryan and not have a title, or do you want to have a title, right? And does Ryan even want to fight him without the title? So it did surprise me because of all the sanctioning bodies, the WBA would be the one that I would think would, definitely not remember what their rules are supposed to be when it comes to stuff like this. But let's be honest, Tank needs opponents. Tank's going to need a shot at the belt. Does PBC put themselves in a position, or not PBC, but does Showtime or whoever, does Rolly put themselves in a position where he doesn't have that belt when Tank comes looking for one at 140? That's tough.
Man, oh man. Hey, Joe Beeb, are you surprised the WBA is following its own rules here? Do you subscribe to some of what Mario's saying here? Like, are they doing it to help Rolly?
I don't know if they're doing it to help Rolly, but I am very surprised they are following the rules. Because there's a lot of confusion when they have these rules, and it says like at their own discretion. And a lot of times they'll have guys that are ranked number one, or they're in the top three or whatever for the longest time. Like case in point, Dillian White. And then I think Dominic Brazil was ranked number 5, but the WBC ordered Dominic Brazil to be the mandatory. So these rules are very, very vague, and they can order as many eliminators as they want. They can, under certain circumstances, they deem fit, they can delay ordering a mandatory. I'm going back to Dillian White once again. So I am very, very surprised that they did order this. I was thinking that they would, allow for an exception because, promoters and fighters can file for exceptions. And I thought that they would probably try to do that in this situation, but apparently the WBA was not trying to hear it. They already, gave Rolly Romero, a really favorable position, allowing him to fight for this title. So, he already got his golden ticket. He's not going to get 2 of them, right? So it is what it is.
Okay. Christine, are you surprised the WBA is following its own rules here and enforcing this mandatory?
Yes and no. Rules that are written or for everybody else except for the people that write the rules, and then they can bend them and use them to benefit whatever their agenda is. And I think that that's what's going on here. They foresee things in the future, and are they protecting or not protecting? Yeah. I don't know. O'Hara, he's a pretty tough opponent. So I don't know if Rolly was more excited to fight Ryan because he thought he might have a chance. But yes, he is going to be fighting for a belt, and I think it's great. But I don't know. I just think that rules are written for everybody else except for those that write them. And we've seen it all the time, how the rules are broken or, moved around to benefit whatever the agenda is. And I think that's what's going on here.
It's an old saying, privilege is invisible to those who have it.
Absolutely.
Well said.
Absolutely.
Well, I just know Howard Davis better be careful because Raleigh could be missing punches, and if you're against the ropes, they could stop it. You know what I mean? Apparently. You know what I mean? Like all I know is I am very surprised that they're kind of doing this. You know what I mean? Like it almost makes you wonder, like, okay, what's the catch? I'm waiting for the catch, maybe they have a backup plan. Maybe they feel they could still do I'm sure they'll have something in place to where even if Raleigh loses, another PBC fighter will be right in line to get that belt or something. I'm sure they have like a protocol in place, or someone that they want to see with a belt, I should say. But I know a lot of people wanted this Raleigh-Ryan fight, and I understand why, right? It's enticing. It has that WWE feel to it. Like it's like watching a car crash that you just need to watch, right? But it's not. First of all, it's not a quality fight. That's number one, because Raleigh's not a quality fighter, right? And it's not a real, in my opinion, what should be a world championship fight. It's not. Okay, to me, it was just a better version of Jake Paul versus Fury.
Whoa.
Tommy Fury, Jake Paul, with more talent, I guess. And is Raleigh more talented than Tommy Fury? I don't know. Is he? I mean, it's probably not. Hits harder for his division, but is he more talented? Raleigh was slipping in the edge of the ring. I was looking. Is there water in the ring? Like, what's going on here? He looks uncoordinated. He looks off balance. He's throwing shots in the most awkward angles. This old man was taking him to school. Like, this old dude was taking him to school. And then they rob him. That's what they did. That one was a robbery. That should not have been a stoppage. And then people want to reward both Raleigh and Ryan, who's coming off a loss, with a pay-per-view fight.
Ryan needed it. That's what it was. Like, Ryan needs that win. He needs the Raleigh fight. He needs it.
I mean, confidence booster. But Raleigh and Ryan can do a fight. It could be a grudge match. It doesn't have to be for a world title.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Keep world titles out of your social media shit. Because it's a Pandora's box we don't need to be opening. We don't need to open that Pandora's box. Because then if you want to reward guys' title shots, even if they're coming off losses because they're popular or because they know how to sell a fight or because they're this and they're that, then we're heading towards very dangerous territory. Because Raleigh is the worst I've seen get a title ever. Ever. I cannot think of a worse dude than Raleigh that was rewarded about that way in my life. Ever. More. I know you're thinking about it, Mario. Ever.
But you said that way. You mean like he's the worst world champion you've ever seen?
Worst
or
world
that was the worst way to win a world championship?
Both.
What about Charles Martin? That was kind of a crappy.
What about Wilder's?
No. Charles Martin wasn't as bad because you could make an argument. Charles Martin's a top 10 heavyweight, or Raleigh's not a top 10 140 pounder in the world.
Welterweight. Yeah, that is a fair point. I'm not gonna lie. I can think of somebody. I promise you, I could find somebody with less ability.
Martin went life and death with Luis Ortiz. He got knocked out, but he gave him a good fight. You know what I mean? Like he beat Washington, right? Raleigh is horrible, bro. Like, he's bad.
Yeah.
I don't want people watching that and saying, "Man, is that guy's a world champion?"
I think you're right. I think you're right. Yeah.
He's a world champion. He's like the best. Him?
You'd have to really think to find, and again, I hate denigrating anybody, but when you're comparing him to other champions and you're comparing him, because when you say world champion, you know, like in that division, there's like a couple thousand registered boxes in that division alone, right?
Yeah.
When you say world champion, like you're like above thousands, right? And I don't think he's better than thousands of fighters in that division. So it's tough, and I say that with respect to Raleigh, but I don't know. It's hard to say that he's like the best.
Look, they robbed Jackson Marinas in a fight. I thought he clearly lost that fight. They reward him that win. He gets a tank fight.
That. Yeah, good point.
He gets a tank fight, gets knocked out, then moves up and gets a title shot. I mean, you can't make this up. And then they want to put another dude that lost in a fight with him for a world title?
Yeah, that's crazy.
No. Like, how about they could fight, but how about Davis gets the belt or something? Like, I'd rather him get the belt. And then you and Ryan can have your grudge match and go do it on pay-per-view if you want. I don't care what you do, right? But you don't have to be taking a world title with you. Because once you go down that path, there's a problem, right? And I know people joke about those paths, but this is some very serious territory, right? We don't want boxing to become the parody that people say it is. We don't need to manifest it into reality. No, we just don't need to do that, right? I just think, like, this guy, I'm sorry, I'm not impressed. And I don't have a lot of respect for him because I saw a video of him where he's talking to Teofimo, and he's just so arrogantly and cocky. He's like, hey, this boxing thing's easy, huh? Like, you entitled little shit. Marinez beat you. This old dude was beating you. You were gifted that fucking belt. Tank Davis was embarrassed to be in those press conferences in that fight with you, by the way. Okay, Tank Davis looked embarrassed to be promoting a fight with this dude, right? When Tank Davis looks at you and says, man, this guy's a retard. Well, why am I fighting this guy? Like, you know there's a problem, all right? I don't like it. It's my personal opinion. I don't like what's going on with Raleigh. I don't want to reward him with some and then again the attitude, like, I don't want to fight O'Hara Davies. See, nobody knows him. I want to fight Ryan. Like, dude, you ain't in that position to be talking like that. The fuck are you? The fuck have you done? If boxing's so easy, could go defend your fucking belt against O'Hara Davies. If it's such a piece of cake, go fight Regis Progress and tell me how easy that fight is afterwards. Okay? Go tell me how easy that fight is. Because one last point I'll say is this. I remember an interview that Ali Setback did with Conor McGregor, and McGregor was telling him, this boxing stuff is easy, right? And he did a follow-up interview with Fernando Vargas. He said, hey, Conor said boxing's easy. And Fernando Vargas said, maybe he's talking about the training, maybe. But when you're in there with a real fighter, ain't nothing easy. Right? He was probably jumping rope saying it was easy or something, or hitting the mitts or something. Okay? Like, but when you get in the ring, that old dude was putting hands on you. It didn't look easy to me. Not for you. He put hands on Raleigh, bro. This old dude was putting hands on Raleigh. And then Tony Weeks with a weak ass move. All right. But I digress. All right. I'm on one today, man. Like, I'm on a roll today. Let's get to the big one here. Reynoso, Eddie Reynoso, trainer / manager / best friend of Saul Canelo Alvarez, tweeted out, hey, yo, nobody's sending me offers or us offers. Nobody's being serious here. It's all talk. Okay, he said a line like, even the ducks shoot shotguns or something like that. I don't know what he meant by that, but nonetheless, he put it out there. Samson Lukowitz, okay, promoter of David Benavidez / manager, I guess, went ahead and responded. with a screenshot of a proposal that he emailed Reynoso, right? And he put out an open letter saying, "Hey, you put it public. Just for the record, we sent an offer on the 27th, or a proposal to be more specific. But nonetheless, it's not a legal offer, but it's still an offer, you know. But with that said, Joe Habib, what do you make of all this? Like, is this good news? Does this mean maybe the fight's closer to be made? Is it bad news? What do you make of it? What do you make of the whole thing?
There's going to be a lot of very, very happy people. About 99% of them. And that 1% that is not going to be happy, they're never going to be happy and they can't be saved. I'll leave it at that.
You're going to put us in your will? Man, this is great.
That's very grim, please. Let's not take it down that path. I know I'm old, but nothing's terminal at this point. Please don't mislead the public.
Of a 20-year-old though.
But what do you make of the whole like? Well, why do you think Reynoso tweeted that? Like,
I'm gonna be honest. I'm stumped. I can't figure out why that happened. I can only say this. I do believe that there have been discussions, maybe informal discussions, between Reynoso and Samson. I do believe that, right? Samson's been down there, right? He goes down there frequently. He considers Reynoso a friend. They've known each other for a long time. He has the utmost respect for Canelo as well. What I do think maybe Reynoso's doing is maybe putting some pressure on these guys. Like, let's get a real serious offer here. Let's expedite this process because we want to start moving, in other words. So maybe he's trying to light a fire under whoever he's talking to. Regardless, I do think that Benavidez is the front runner for this fight, in my opinion. I think this fight will happen this year. I think it's going to happen. I think people are going to be very happy, with the result of who Canelo fights next, and I believe it's going to be Benavidez. So
okay.
Yeah.
I'll be putting a poll up shortly. So you guys keep an eye on that in the chat. Christine, what do you make of it? What do you think is going on here?
I mean, there was cricket after Reynoso put out what he did on Twitter, and I was kind of like stumped too. I think maybe the translation didn't cross over with, the duck and the shotgun and all this other stuff. But, and Samson immediately, answered back and showed the screenshot. And then there was crickets on the Reynoso side. So something that he said too, Samson said, was that, it's not going to happen overnight. We're going to be patient. In the past, Canelo's having to pay opponents, and this time he doesn't. Don't quote me, but I saw something, I don't know what, 50 million thrown around, I don't know, something like that. I don't know why Reynoso would deny or say it didn't happen. I'm sure there have been conversations. This is a fight I would like to see. Obviously, last night on my show, some people were saying that it's a bigger fight than Crawford Spence. I disagree, but it is a fight that I want to see, and I think that he's really the only one that Canelo can fight for us to be satisfied. I mean, like, who else can he fight? So I think it's going to happen, and Samson knows it's going to take some time, and he's going to be patient, and I think we will see this fight, if not this year, next year.
Okay, all right. Look, Mario just messaged me. He'll be back in a moment. Look, let me try to. Yeah, like even Google Translate is not trying to translate this. It's like the funniest thing I've ever seen. But it turns out even ducks shoot the shotguns. I have no idea what that means. But
I think I know what that means.
Well, what do you think it means?
He's saying people that are avoiding fights are the ones taking shots, in other words. Possibly.
Okay.
Right?
And for some reason, he's saying the three promoters that are doing the negotiation, he says Matchroom, PBC, which makes sense, but then he adds Top Rank.
Hmm.
I don't know why Top Rank's in his tweet. And none of them have sent any offer for a fight for September, specifically. He did add it for September, right? Why is Top Rank in that tweet? Or, unless he's mistaken or
I think because Top Rank's like one of the big three. It's funny how Golden Boy's not even mentioned there. Obviously, because they had the problem with Golden Boy, so they're not going to be there.
But even they could be the biggest promoter of all time. But like what fighter do they have?
Yeah, they don't have anything. You're correct.
Unless they mean Better Beef, or talking about Better Beef.
Maybe they just threw that out there, threw it out there out of respect for Top Rank.
Yeah, I don't think they're looking for a Better Beef fight right now.
No, I don't think so either.
I mean, but you never know. They announced that fight. I'm not going to complain, but I mean, I'll be surprised. Hey, Mario, what do you make of this tweet? He's talking about none of the three major promotions have sent any offer for September. That's including Matchroom, PBC, and Top Rank. So he's also calling out Matchroom for some reason too. Like, it's crazy. Maybe that's because of the Bibble situation. But first of all, why is Top Rank there in your opinion? Are they really talking about Better Beef? And what do you make of this whole situation, brother?
Yeah, it's hard to call. As far as the Top Rank thing, I'll be honest, that completely baffles me. But as far as what I think is going on, like y'all saw the open letter, right? Everybody saw it? Everybody read it? So there's something to me in it that really stands out. And let me just get to it. So since you have chosen to conduct our negotiations, blah, blah, blah. Okay, right here. If you are also unable to find this open letter, this is a letter from Samson.
Well, do this. I don't want to cut you off, but don't blah, blah, blah. Read the whole thing.
Read the whole thing. Okay, cool. I just didn't want to. Yeah. Okay, cool. Dear Eddie Reynoso, since you have chosen to conduct our negotiations for David Benavidez to face Saul Canelo Alvarez in public, I'm forced to correct a few mistakes you made in claiming you haven't received any offers. On Monday, May 29th at 4:45 p.m., I emailed you what I'm sure would be one of the most lucrative offers of Canelo Alvarez's career to face Benavidez, and attached is a picture of the email that he sent with Eddie Reynoso's name and the contact info. Now, obviously, we don't know, you could make that name for anybody's contact, but we'll take him at the benefit of the doubt. Please know that you do indeed have an offer to face Benavidez, a sizable one. And I must tell you that I'm offended by your claim that I'm fantasizing about making this fight happen. This is the part that really stands out to me. If you are also unable to find this open letter and no one tells you about it, would anyone who knows him please let Eddie know that I will send this same offer any time for him to communicate to Canelo Alvarez. All he needs to do is provide a working email address, apparently. Sincerely, Samson Lukovic. So that right there speaks volumes. To me, what that says is he doesn't even know if he has the, first of all, right email contact. Now, I know he's being a little sarcastic there, but the fact that he'd end it like that, like if De La Hoya and Bob were going to make a fight, right? They could call each other. They could talk. If Bob and Eddie wanted to make it, they could do that. They could talk, right? They know each other's phone numbers. They've handled business with each other before. For Samson to put it the way he did, it honestly makes me feel like this all could be just a giant misunderstanding. I don't think Reynoso's a guy who's checking his email every day. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't strike me as that. And at the end of the day, if this is all just a miscommunication, then all that needs to be done is get one of these guys on the phone, talk to them personally, and you can find out more in an exchange face-to-face through FaceTime or whatever, better in person, and you can gauge the realism of it. Because let's be honest also, how many times have we seen these stories come out where promoters say this or they say that about, booking this big fight or sending these offers? I mean, AJ Wilder to this day is argued. Oh, you like how I did that? To this day? Argued about whether there was money in an account or not, whether an offer got sent. I mean, fans still argue over that. So I don't blame Eddie necessarily if this is a situation where Samson's doing his best to kind of test the waters, but hasn't really gone through the procedural things that maybe Eddie would expect. But I really don't think there's a bad guy here. I think that if we get a bad guy in this situation, it's going to be the person that continues to try to negotiate and lambaste on social media, online, in public, because that right there is the key giveaway, whoever's doing that they really don't want the fight. Fights are made when nobody knows a thing, right? And so it happened with Mayweather Pacquiao. It happened with Spence Crawford. So to me, I know this sounds like I'm being like overly optimistic or whatever, and I'm not trying to come off as naive, but I truly think that Canelo's the type of fighter that would fight a Benavidez. And I truly believe that Benavidez wants to fight Canelo. So if these two guys want to fight, if there's 50 million for real on the table, then Samson has no reason not to come back to the table in a way that Reynoso might find more favorable. Business-wise.
Hey, shout out to the migra. The migra's in the chat. They're looking for me and Mario, yes.
I see what you're saying. I think it's so cute because you are so optimistic, and I think it's wonderful. But this is the problem that I have. Okay, so maybe Reynoso doesn't check his email every day, but he's kind of a big deal. So I'm hoping he has an assistant or a few assistants that do that for him. Number one. Number two. Okay, let's say he didn't check his email. Well, before you jump the gun, the shotgun, the whatever gun, why would you go to social media? You know, if you have time to get on Twitter, you have time to check an email, or you have time for someone to check it for you. So I get what you're saying. It doesn't make sense to me, all the back and forth and then the silence. But, you know, it's all going to play out, and we're going to see what happens.
Look.
Fair point.
A couple of things, and I've heard this, and now these are little details that I notice. I just notice little things. When I hear Samson and his YouTube interviews that he does and his podcasts that he does, and even the people that write articles, and it's very consistent, right? First of all, I don't know why he keeps making the point that Canelo's not going to have to pay Benavidez. We'll pay him. Like, I don't understand that point. Like every promoter that Canelo's ever fought for paid him. Like, that's the way it always works, right? That's number one. Benavidez is going to make more money fighting Canelo than he ever has, because the Canelo fight generates more money than any fight he's ever been in before. Okay, you're not going to do the $2 million or $3 million gate that you did with Plant. Now you're going to do close to a $20 million gate or more than that, because Canelo generates that. So with all due respect, it's Canelo that's drawing power that justifies what you're going to pay him, because that's the type of money we're talking about. That's number one, and that needs to be pointed out. It's not like an important point, but it's just a point that needs to be made, right? Because I believe that somehow he thinks he has some type of leverage because he's making the offer, okay? This is your leverage. Your leverage is people want to see this fight. That's your leverage, and that's the only leverage you need. You don't need any other leverage. You don't need to create, okay, these smoke and mirror screens of leverage. You don't need to do it. There's no need for ego here, right? Shout out to Edwin Castillo. I believe, Eddie, before anyone associated with PBC says, I appreciate your support, brother. Thanks very much for the super chat. Look, I feel, one, I don't see why Eddie Reynoso would lie, and I don't see why Samson would lie, because the lie could be easily exposed. Like if Samson has proof of the emails, he could show you, I did send you this, right? And he kind of did, even though we can't see it, but he sent him the screenshot. Either A, Eddie hasn't gotten to it, forgot about it, B or C, didn't take the proposal serious. It's one of the three.
You were saying that you don't know why Samson keeps making the argument about Canelo not going to have to pay his opponent or whatever. Well, Canelo's his own promoter, so usually, you know, your promoter are going to pay your opponents. Well, he's his own promoter, and in the past, it was stated that he has had to, you know, pay X amount or whatever to whoever he's going to be fighting, and in this situation, he wouldn't have to put up any money. That's what they're saying. So that's the reason why. I mean, there is nobody else to put it up but Canelo, because he promotes himself.
Oh, for sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Shout out to U.S. Border Patrol. Apparently, they're in the chat.
I saw that.
But anyway, I think they're here for beef. To be honest with you,
Uh-oh.
you know what I mean? Like
Going back to Lebanon. Going back to Lebanon.
Lebanon. Is that what it is?
It is.
Okay, man. But look, I think there's a good chance this fight's going to happen because there's communication nonetheless, right? I'm 50-50 about it, to be honest. I'm not going to pull trigger and say, oh, it's definitely going to happen. I'm 50-50 about it. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. But 50-50 is more optimistic than I was before. I'll say that. Before I was kind of 60-40, 70-30. So it's been creeping up. Like the trajectory is there. What I don't buy is this, though. I don't buy this whole, like, I don't know if Canelo's seen it yet. I'm sure Canelo's seen your proposal. I find it very unlikely that Canelo hasn't seen it yet. Like, when he's over here, can somebody please that knows Canelo, please let him know. Like, you're telling me, Samson, with all your connections, you don't have any ways you can't connect with Canelo?
That's why it felt like a shot. Yeah.
Like, this is a multi-tens of millions dollar fight. You can't buy a plane ticket and go to San Diego, go to his gym? If you really wanted, like, if you really felt that somehow Reynoso is keeping this information from Canelo, doesn't want him to see it?
Facts.
I don't buy it. I don't buy this whole, I just don't know if Canelo's seen it. If only somebody could please show Canelo. I just need him to say, like, I'm sure he's seen it, brother. You know what I mean? I am positive he's seen the offer. This fight, if it happens, how many pay-per-view buys do you think it does? How many pay-per-view buys do you think this fight does?
2 million.
2 million, okay. Christine?
Well, I'm not good at numbers and I don't keep with all that, but a lot.
Mucho.
1.6,
Yes, for
15,
sure.
1.6.
Does it do over $1 million?
Absolutely, for sure.
All right. Mario Munguia.
999,000 buys. That's my prediction.
Well, just give it $1 million at that point.
No, because I don't think it does $1 million. Because the 500,000 is the new $1 million. Because what we used to think about the $1 million was the Mayweather-Pacquiao era, which is long gone. And now 500,000 is the new $1 million. 300, 250, according to all the networks, is now how that's where the money's made. So to me, I think it just is just short. But it's
based on what numbers. Though? Based on what is that the new $1 million? Based on what? What exactly?
Based on the fact that nobody can hit $1 million. Based on the fact that
a fight hit $1 million just 2 months ago.
Okay, yeah, that's true. You're absolutely right. And that was a fight that I think would have broken $1 million now or back in the era of Mayweather-Pacquiao with the same context. What I see is that if there are pay-per-view stars of this era, they're not breaking $1 million. They're not doing it consistently.
Yeah,
if
consistently.
Tank and Canelo are those guys, then let's take what they're doing and readjust the average, right? It's like in school what was it called when they used to have like a curve or like a grading
sliding scale. Sliding scale.
There you go. Okay. So when they had that sliding scale, it was to be fair to everybody participating, right? All the kids in class. So now all the kids in class are fighters and they're participating. So we have to look at that standard different than we did a decade ago. So if 500,000 is the new $1 million, then I think it will pass the 500,000 mark. Does it get to $1 million? I don't know. I don't know if David Benavidez has that kind of pull as the B-side to Canelo.
I don't know. Mario's point, if we remember back in the Mayweather-Pacquiao days, they were consistently doing over $1 million. Like when Pacquiao fought Cotto, he did 1.25. When he fought Marquez, he did like 1.4. Mayweather was consistently, like when he fought or Victor Ortiz, he did like 1.2. I think the Guerrero fight was a little. It's funny to say. I think the Guerrero fight only did like 900,000, and that was like people were like questioning that at that time because I was so used to seeing him doing like $1 million consistently. So, yeah,
I guess I'm trying to figure out where
skills changed a little bit. Yeah,
But is that like, in other words, so I understand what Mayweather and Pacquiao were doing.
Yeah.
I get that. But no one else in the boxing world in those days, even when Pacquiao and Marquez were, when Pacquiao and Mayweather were fighting, Marquez only did 50,000 with Casamayor.
Yeah, that's true.
Martinez Chavez Jr. did 500,000. That was
Cotto was the closest to them, and he would get like 900,000, 800,000.
With who?
Yeah, like him and Margarito.
No, like Cotto Jr. just did like 250,000.
Yeah, what did Cotto do with Cotto and Canelo?
Cotto Margarito did like 400,000.
Cotto Canelo did like 900.
Yeah, that's later, but that's kind of the tail end of the Pacquiao Mayweather era. But
yeah,
what I'm saying is this. What I'm saying is, Pacquiao Mayweather did, and they broke barriers. They went to 4 million when they fought each other.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I just don't think boxing, it's cyclical. Like, I think Tank Ryan, nobody expected them to do 1 million because people had this mentality that 500,000 is the new million.
Mm-hmm.
I think 1 million is always going to be 1 million. And if you're not doing 1 million, it's because you're just not a pay-per-view star. That's what it is. So I don't like to move the goalposts and say, okay, you are a pay-per-view star. You're doing 500,000 in the era where 500,000 is the new million. Don't buy it. UFC does 1 million buys here and there. You know what I mean?
I still think everybody needs a marquee opponent too. Like that, this whole thing that people can just fight this whole thing that I hear people say, oh, well, this guy can fight anybody. He's going to sell. I don't know. I just think everyone needs that marquee opponent.
I think that's the most important factor in all of this, right? And really, I think honestly, I didn't even realize what I was trying to say until Beeb just said that. That is what I'm trying to say. Like the Pacquiao Mayweather era, forget about the pay-per-view numbers. It's about what they were doing as the A side alone. The B side almost was like it didn't even matter. These guys were selling like crazy. Okay. Yeah. And we've just seen now, as you know, D-Style reminded us, that when you have a fight in this era with a side and a B side who both attract, who both bring something to the table, you're going to get the payoff of 1 million. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to change the goalpost. More so what I'm saying is if Canelo David Benavidez happened 10 years ago and did under 1 million, there would be people saying that it was a flop. Today, by the metrics that are being used, and these aren't my metrics, okay? Steven Espinosa is the one who came out and said some of this. You know, DAZN's kind of talked about it a little bit. No. The fact that they have a new barrier or the standard or the money-making line is around 200,000, whatever. I'm not saying I believe it or don't believe it. I'm just saying that's their words. Well, then double your money back is pretty good at 500,000. So again, it's not like I'm trying to heighten Tank because he doesn't get a mill.
Plus they offset a lot of it with the substantial increase in cost with these pay-per-views. Like they're $85 now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well said.
For sure. It's sad because who are the superstars like back then? Like who are they? Like who are they really? You know? And who are they fighting? I don't know. I don't know. It's sad that
I just think like back. Look, let me tell you guys something right now. I'm just going to tell you right now. If Canelo Benavidez happens, it does 2 million. That's what it's going to do. I'm telling you right now. Why? Because one, Canelo is a star. That's number one. Second, right? Benavidez is a fight. It's a fight on demand. It's a fight people want to see. When you give people what they want, they showed you with Ryan versus Tank. They'll reward you for it.
And
that's what people do. Give people what they want.
The Mexican people will save their money to pay to the two biggest Mexican names in boxing. They are going to, you know,
that's a great point, Christine. Look at all the fights that did over 1 million, non-heavyweight fights that did over 1 million. A vast majority of them have Mexican fighters.
And that's
De La Hoya versus Mayweather.
Spend the money.
Well, check it out. De La Hoya versus Mayweather.
Yes.
Marquez versus Pacquiao twice. Okay. Ryan Garcia versus Tank. Right. What's the fight that got him over the 1 million? Like it's Ryan Garcia. Right. There's other ones out there, like even Robert Guerrero did almost $1 million with Floyd, right?
De La Hoya Mayweather, obviously.
Yeah, Canelo versus De La Hoya versus Mayweather, both did over 2 million.
Yeah.
I mean, the proof it's right there. De La Hoya Hopkins, you know what I mean? Victor Ortiz versus Mayweather, like, you know what I mean? Like,
this is a monster fight, bro. I just think it's a monster fight.
Canelo Chavez did $1 million. You don't think this fight does $1 million?
Oh, this fight's a monster. You got all the mainstream sports shows talking about it. The fact that Mike Tyson is really hyped, he's really hyped about this, and his podcast, he gets crazy listeners. You got Joe Rogan even mentioning this fight. Like, everyone, once this fight gets announced and they start doing the rounds, and Canelo is always a great promoter, but like, he's really has ingratiated himself to everybody. He's so accessible now to the media. I see him sitting and talking more so now than ever. Not that he was ever not, open to talking, but he's even more open to talking now. He goes on shows. Now, he was on Mike Tyson's podcast at one point. This guy,
and here's the thing, and I want to answer this question from MAW. Shout out to him. I don't understand why people are so interested in pay-per-view numbers. I'm just interested in actual fights, to be honest. While we're interested in the fight, we're talking about the interest that the public has in a fight. That's tied to the pay-per-view numbers. Means how much people care about the event
and how likely it is to get made.
Here's the thing that I think people should understand. And again, this is my opinion. You don't have to agree with it or not, whoever's listening. If you buy the pay-per-view, you're incentivizing these guys to want to fight the best. You're rewarding them. If you don't reward the fighters for fighting the best,
Amen,
then they're not going to want to do it as often. So that's why, again, I'm not trying to, step on a soapbox and be this moral compass for the world, but I really try to encourage people for certain fights, just buy it. This is one of those fights.
Sure.
Crawford Spence, Benavidez Canelo, buy this, because then if you buy this, then you're gonna make these guys want to fight the best, right? You can't, if you're not buying pay-per-views, honestly, you lose the right to complain that the best.
And here's another thing, like if you give the fans the fights they want to see, and the fans reward you by buying the fight, and it's a successful event, it incentivizes promoters, fighters, managers, everybody. It incentivizes them to make the fights we want to see. Like, you know what I mean? Isn't that what we want?
Yeah,
100%.
And that's why people should buy the pay-per-views, because the more successful an event is, the more of these events you will see.
100%. And if I can add to that point real quick, another thing, and this is not my opinion, this is a fact. The networks, the promoters, the Hearns, the Bob Arams, all these people have teams of people who are constantly looking through social media. They're constantly seeing what's engaging on, what are they Googling, what fight fans want. It could very well be possible that Samson did all of this out in the public just to be able to take a number back to Canelo and his team and say, look how many people, look how long Canelo was trending when his name was mentioned with David Benavidez. Look how many people have said that they would buy the pay-per-views. Okay. And I'm not talking about, what's his name's way of finding out what the real pay-per-view number is on Twitter. I'm talking about actual market research. Okay. These are what huge companies do to test out products to see how the world and the community will embrace it. And so when they put these stories out, or when they put these things out, I promise you, so many of the Twitter and IG profiles that you see, day to day with people that have never shown their face, they're just people from PBC or Top Rank or Golden Boy. They're just Finstagram accounts or Twitter handles that they use to gauge people's reactions and, sway people's opinions one way or the other. Like, that's all this stuff is. So when you see the fact that, they're looking and they're saying, whoa, look how many people have just wanted to tune into the roundtable just for this very discussion. That counts. that makes an imprint. And while buying is the ultimate way of A, thanking the fighters for fighting each other, and B, giving the best chance that they'll continue to go down that road. It's these moments where we hype these fights that the fighters see, okay, shit, this is what we got to do.
And here's a reality. I just got to keep it real with everybody. I'm going to keep it very real. Okay? We've been on for an hour and 19 minutes. The numbers hit the peak right now when we're talking about this topic.
There you go.
Well, why are you guys talking about this? Well, I mean, apparently it's the topic you guys care most about. We're talking about Wood and Conlan and all that. Like, you guys were still getting your popcorn ready. You know what I mean? But we're talking about this. You're eating your popcorn. I'm just putting that out there. By the way, hit the like button. Okay? Just for the record, okay? Hit the like button. But with that said, speaking of making an impact, speaking of putting your name out there, speaking of finding your legacy, making something out of yourself and stamping your mark, right? Clarissa Shields fights this weekend. Oh, look at Christine. She's put in a bad mood or something. What's going on, Christine? You know what I mean? But Christine, I'll start. You know, I'm going to start with you. I'm going to put you in the spot.
Thank you. Yes.
Look, man, like this stuff does not. Honestly, I know a lot of people don't like Shields, but it doesn't make me happy. Like, I'm seeing a lot of empty seats. This is her neck of the woods.
Yeah,
it's kind of frustrating for women's boxing in the U.S. And what she's doing everything. She's trying to be the sweet girl. I know you probably don't agree with that. She's trying to be the villain. She's tried to complain. She even said, I'm going to beat y'all's girl with her own colors. And she did her best Broner impression. Yeah. Nobody could beat me. Mexicans, Africans, whites, nobody, right? What could she do?
You know, I think it's sad because nobody can take away from her the things that she's accomplished. And, two-time gold medalist, Olympic gold medalist. She has, has 0 losses, 4 belts. I mean, the girl is decorated. She has jewelry. The problem, I believe, is she doesn't truly know the identity that she wants to capture and stick with. She has the I don't give a fuck attitude. Can I say fuck? Sorry. Attitude. I don't care what anybody says or thinks. And I think that we should all be our own people and our merits can carry us. But when people just genuinely do not like you and will not buy a ticket to your fight, it does start to affect your bank account. So there needs to be, I don't know what it needs to be, but she needs to care a little bit. She needs to care a little bit about her fans who are buying the tickets, who are, paying for the things that her stuff, her tickets to her fights. I don't know. I am so, have such mixed feelings about Clarissa because yes, she's accomplished so much, but she's not likable to a lot of people. And I think that she doesn't need to cater to them, but she needs to be maybe a little bit more personable and maybe just pick what she's going to be. Are you going to be a villain? Are you going to be a hero? Are you going to be woman power? Are you going to be African American power? Like what are you going to do? Who are you going to be? I think that she needs to pick who she wants to be, and that's just my opinion. This fight, I was excited when it was Hannah Gabriel's. I'm sorry that the situation that's going on with Hannah, and then Maricela. She said she's been training. It wasn't a last minute call. We know, God love her. Cute girl, not the best boxer. We know how it's going to end.
Does she have any type of chance? Does Cornejo have any shot to win this fight?
In my opinion, I know she has more knockouts than Clarissa, and a lot of people say Clarissa doesn't really have a punch. Everybody has a chance. I'm never going to say no. But I think that it is going to be one-sided.
Man, I mean, Joe Habib. What's going on here? She can't sell out in her backyard. Is it out of her control? Just things she could do. Shishida, maybe I don't want to leak the witness, but maybe she should have just fought Marshall the rematch in the UK. I mean, take it from there. Like, what things going on here?
Funny because I talked to Bob about this, and we both agreed that like female boxing, women's boxing is much bigger in the UK. And when you see fighters like Michaela Mayer, Jessica McCaskill, Alicia Baumgardner, they go over to the UK and they fight on those cards, and they're very, very well received. You see them doing commentary on UK cards as well. They have no problem, being on the undercard. They don't have to headline. So I think you got to go where the demand is high. And unfortunately, right now, the demand for women's boxing is not high in America. I don't know why that is. Could be because of the lack of knockouts. I don't know. I can't pinpoint it. I know a lot of people like to say, "Oh, there's not a lot of knockouts, and that's a problem." People want to see knockouts, whatever. But I think, like you said, going back to the UK, striking while the iron's hot. That card was great. That was an awesome card. That all women's card over there was on Sky. The crowd of the arena was filled. Everyone was really engaged in the event. The fights were great. Alicia Baumgardner, Michaela Mayer, great fight. Her fight with Savannah Marshall, phenomenal fight. Both fights were excellent, right? Top to bottom, that was a solid card. But I think it what all boils down to is ego. And I guess there's a resentment that she has for the public. And you can't force people to like you. They either do or they don't. You can't make them like you, right? And whenever you lash out at people, you're pushing them farther away. So maybe she does need to be more personable. But I think, and it's hard for me to say this because being a fighter, you have to be egotistical. You have to have a big ego, right? But you have to, have emotional intelligence, and you have to know how to navigate your way through that big ego. And I don't think she's learned that yet. And Katie Taylor, we've talked about this several times. Look how many undercards she was on. She was on a lot of AJ undercards, a lot of undercards, right? And she was still getting paid very well to be on those undercards, but it gave her and got her exposure. She went the humble route, and she was able to build herself up that way. Michaela, same thing. Alicia, same thing, right? Jessica, same thing. So I think that's what needs to be done. I think there needs to be a total revamp in the strategy, and she needs to start from scratch again, I think.
Man. Hey, Mario, go ahead and piggyback off what you heard Christine Joe talk about here. What do we do about this Clarissa Shields situation? Because she's arguably the best boxer, at least in the higher weight classes, and she's not getting attention here. You're muted, brother.
Thank you, bro. I said this years ago, and people absolutely lost their shit on Twitter. I said that when it all boils down to it, and 20 years into the future, we're going to look at Clarissa Shields' accomplishments and say she is one of the most decorated fighters of all time, pound for pound. So I'm not talking women, I'm not talking men, I'm just talking about people that have ever boxed. You would think that she would have this crazy appeal. I watched this documentary on Christy Martin, somebody who D-Style had on, and go back and watch that episode. It was really good when her Netflix documentary was about to drop. And I remember what they said about her appeal, right? She was just this woman who was just knocking people out, right? And they put her on the Mike Tyson undercards, and Mike Tyson came out and he, co-signed her, and he did all these things to make sure that she had the opportunity to, succeed in a very male-dominated world at the time and still today. I remember when Dana White said that women will never be allowed in the UFC. I remember when Ronda Rousey was fighting for Strikeforce. Women have had to fight for every single thing they've ever gotten in almost every aspect of the United States, okay? Boxing and MMA are no different. And unfortunately, I appreciate her skill. I think that I know I'll never miss a fight that she has. I ordered her pay-per-view working in my hotel one day. And none of that I think is going to help. If I'm going to be honest, what I think would help, and I'm not suggesting this, I'm not saying I want to see this, but the traction she got the most this past couple weeks was when she said that she could beat Rolly. When she said that I could beat the one fighter that I know I could beat for world title is Rolly. Something like that. Okay. I'm not saying that there should ever be a time where a real boxing sanctioning body should ever allow that to happen in a million years. What I am saying is if Jake Paul or Logan Paul or whoever is going to have some little YouTube fight or TikTok fight, and she would be in a position where she could actually beat a guy and show the world that she is capable of beating probably most dudes, the average dude that's her size, obviously, in the ring, it would be something. You know what I mean? It would be something that would at least get her the attention she deserves. And I don't think that it's a good idea to resort to circus acts or making a joke out of anything, but this is like do or die time. I think that if you want to make the most out of your career, you're going to have to do these things because there's nobody left. There's nobody to have that A side, B side rivalry with.
It's like when China won the Intercontinental World title in the WWE. What are you trying to do here, Mario? Please.
I mean, I'm just saying.
That's exactly what it is.
But check it out, though. Check it out.
That's hilarious.
But check it out. Look, I think it's a mixed bag. I think, one, she doesn't knock anybody out. That's number one. Her level of competition, besides Marshall, lately just hasn't been up to par. I mean, let's look at the facts. Ranking was one of her best wins, and Harper moved up like 3 weight classes and easily outboxed her. Like you know what I mean? I'm just saying. Like,
and Marshall said today, I think it was today or yesterday on Twitter, she's like, "You made the most money fighting me. Fight me again." Like, and it's true. Go back over there.
Yeah, like it's not like. And here's the thing. Maybe they've talked about things that Mayweather has left in his wake. Okay. There's other things, but one thing that he left in his wake is this gaslighting after tough fights. Okay. This obsession with it was easy work and I easily won because somehow that's really important for me and my legacy. All my fights were easy work. I never struggled in any fights. They were all easy. Right. This is new. Like this was not like you never heard Ray Leonard say his fights were easy and that fight with Hearn, that was easy work, and that was easy work, that fight with Hagler. Man, he's like, no, he never said. He said they were tough. He said I had to grit at all the things that inspire people about boxing, and for people, the things we love about boxing, competition and toughness, and these are modern day gladiators in the ring, and we that's why we watch. It's a gladiatorial sport, and we watch because it's hard and there's competition, and Marshall gives her the fight of her life. She admits it after the fight. Marshall is gracious in defeat, tells the fans to stop booing and cheer her and everything. What does she do the next day? She starts gaslighting on Twitter. That's what she does the next day. I went back and watched it. She's lucky to won 2-3 rounds. I don't think that fight was close. That was easy work, to be honest with you. That was not a tough fight at all. If you're Achilles, this is your Hector. This is your rival. Sell it to people. Say it was a tough fight. I have to and tell people things that people will appreciate and relate to you to some degree.
So they wouldn't see it again. It was
hold on,
tough.
Christine. Well, every day people struggle. They don't want to wake up for work. Guess what? They say, fuck it, I'm going to get up, I'm going to go to work. Okay, people have a hard time with their marriage, with their spouse. They struggle in life, and that's why they watch boxing. So they hear Clarissa Shields say, I did struggle. It was a hard fight. She did hit me so hard I couldn't see from one eye, but I had to show heart. I had to do more than just my skill. If she talks like that, people, that would inspire people. People would be fans of hers. Okay, all those people you're impressing on Twitter, yeah, get them, champ, ha, ha, ha. You tell her, champ, yeah, it was easy work. They're not buying your tickets to the fight because they're not showing up. They're not paying for your shit. They're doing what Shakur was doing your fight, asking for the link. That's what they're doing. So stop trying to press people, all right? They're giving you a little opening, okay, or whatever, right? I think I pronounced that wrong. But, look, just just be honest. And don't downgrade your greatest rival because I seen your division. No offense.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I seen your division.
Don't do it.
The woman ranked number 4 has a losing record.
Don't do it.
I seen your division.
He's gonna go through the whole thing.
When you tell people, if I went through the whole thing, I'll be done in 2 minutes. The whole division.
Don't do it, please.
This is crazy.
Oh, bro.
Please,
So you tell people Marshall ain't shit. You're telling them your whole fucking sport ain't shit. Because it's second best ain't shit, Clarissa. Ain't nobody going to respect your divisions.
So true, too. This is very...
Yeah,
this
that's
is
the
very,
thing is
this
it's
is
true.
very,
Like,
this is very important because when you downplay your opposition, you are downplaying yourself.
And for everybody, D-Style, you're a hater. You're just hating on Clarissa because she made it look easy. Number one, I have eyes. You can gaslight other people all you want. I know that was a tough fight. She knows it was a tough fight. That's what she's been months on Twitter trying to convince people it wasn't a tough fight.
I'm not going to lie. I picked Clarissa Shields to beat Savannah Marshall. I scored that fight for Savannah Marshall 6 rounds to 4. I thought she won the fight.
Really?
I really do.
Like, she's better off saying it was a tough fight.
And if she had any kind of business mind, and I'm sorry, she would be like, yes, it was my toughest opposition. You know, I don't know if I convincingly beat her. Let's run it back. You know, let make the money again. Set up for the future. Set up for a number 2. Like, what? Don't cut your foot off. Like, I don't get it.
All the gaslighting. Like, I remember after the Tank struggled with Cruz. He did. We know what we saw. What were him and Floyd doing? They were gaslighting. Mm-hmm. Oh, you thought that was a tough fight? Oh, Tank, they never put on a pair of gloves. These guys don't know shit about boxing. They think that was a tough fight. Like, okay, so you're just reinforcing people that the dude you were fighting ain't shit then.
And why'd you fight Mike Donna? And why'd you fight Mike Donna again?
This is why I loved Sugar Ray Leonard. After the Hagler fight, what did he say? Well, this fight could have gone either way. After the second Tommy Hearns fight, I scored that fight, I think 114 and 111 for Hearns, right? And it was a draw. After the fight, Leonard said, Tommy won this fight. I didn't win this fight. Like, he's just honest.
The honest opinion is what they say right after the fight. Because I've seen so many fighters right after the fight. Yeah, like it was close. I mean, it could have been 7-5. And then, like, days later on Twitter, their fans gas them up. You know what I mean? People gas them up. And, I wasn't even close. That shit was easy. Like, you know, I don't know what that whole thing's about. But that whole culture of everything's easy and it was all easy. If a fight is easy work, then we'll know it's easy work. You're not going to spend months on the internet trying to convince us it was easy work. That was not easy work.
Because here's the thing. Like you said, going back to the Mayweather constructs and what he's left in his wake. If you have a competitive fight, that's a blemish on your record. That's looked upon as a blemish. All these things that all these things that he left behind that have been parroted more so by the fans and a few select fighters. They haven't helped the sport. Now, credit to him for increasing the pay scale. Give him all the credit in the world for that. But all this other stuff has really, really been a black eye on the sport.
Well, let me ask this to Christine before we proceed. Christine, all the people that gas her up and egg her on about this, where are they? They're not buying the tickets for her fights?
No, they're not. I mean, it's so sad. Somebody posted today, like, you know, all the empty seats and the stuff that was like, you know, they had, I don't know, they were like, you weren't unable to sit there. Like, I don't know, they were crossed off. I don't know. It's really sad. I mean, and that's her hometown. That's the saddest thing. Somebody asked, would Alicia Baumgartner sell more tickets there or Clarissa Shields? And I think Alicia would, would sell more tickets there. I don't know. It's really sad. I think she's cutting her own foot off. I really do. By the things that she says, the things that she does. I don't know if she has somebody working with her, a PR person. I know she did it one time and then she didn't listen. Rumor has it she didn't listen or whatever. I don't know. Don't quote me on it. But I think she really needs someone to sit her down and say, hey, we need to change some things up. But I don't think that she would listen. I think that she believes her own hype.
Yeah, and Mayweather only did this when it was disputed wins too. Like that's the only time he would do this, right? When Maidana, Castillo, when he would have been in dominating fashion, he would do the opposite, right? Remember when he beat Marquez, and then Merchant was like, "Well, you fought a little man." He's like, "Oh, he's a good little man, a good little man. Yeah. Oh, he's a great little man,
great little man." Yeah.
Because we have to lift each other up. I mean, your sport is boxing. You are a woman. Let's build women's boxing. Give these women their props. You're not the only one. You're not the king of the hill. Yes, they were good. Yes, they gave me some trouble. They're working in the gym just like you are. You know what they go through, the weight loss, the hours of working out. I mean, give other women some credit and some props. You're not the only one. I think that's one of the biggest problems that I have with her.
There's nothing wrong
for women.
There's nothing wrong with confidence in saying,
no.
Yeah, she's tough. She's good. She gave me a good fight, but I'm the best. And I'll prove it in a rematch. That's a better message than I was easy. She's nothing once around.
Isn't it more gratifying? Isn't it more gratifying achieving something difficult than achieving something easy?
That's not the new culture, though. That's not.
But isn't it though? I mean, look at the rewards that Ali has gotten for having all the tough matchups and fights. And yet, when you talk about Klitschko era, all you hear are words like boring, fought no one.
Yeah.
No heavyweights existed in that era. Like, he was dominant. He was very, very dominant. Yeah. But does he get the respect for being one of the greatest heavyweights of all time? No, he gets excuses made because his opponents weren't very good, right? And so when you're the fighter helping people to say your opponents aren't very good, Mayweather gets crap all the time. Like, oh, who'd you fight? Oh, you fought everybody when they were past their prime, blah, blah. And now he's spending most of his time arguing for those same opponents that he was trashing all those years ago. You know what I'm saying? So I agree with every single word y'all are saying. There's no Batman without Joker. There's no Harry Potter without Voldemort, and there's no Darth Vader without Luke Skywalker. Whether she's Darth Vader or she's Batman, it does not matter as long as they come to buy the tickets. And I think that's the point that Christine's making the most. It's like, you have to settle on a persona. You have to settle on that persona that fans can identify with. But when we see that you're not being authentic, we can tell. We can tell right away, so it's an issue. It's a double-edged sword for her. But, a lot of these issues are self-created within the team that she's had.
There's no Spider-Man without the Green Goblin.
Exactly.
That's right. But could you imagine reading a comic book and Superman just does everything easy? Oh, that was easy work. Oh, yeah. Oh, here's a kryptonite. Pfft, easy work. What was that?
Do you know Superman lost a fight to Muhammad Ali? You know how that was done?
They fought gloves.
No, they fought on a planet where there was a red sun.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Superman.
So he cheated. Ali cheated.
He was equal to Ali. Not, you know what I'm saying? And Ali busted him out, gave him a black eye and everything. Went to a planet with a red sun. When Superman doesn't have the yellow sun, he's a normal human being, like everybody else.
So Superman doesn't know how to fight. So Ali cheated. He fought it with nothing.
Well, Batman showed him some martial arts. I mean, he was a yellow belt in karate.
Okay. I guess. But he might be Bruce Lee in a fight. You know what I mean? In a Red Sun, but
Definitely.
Bruce Lee wasn't a real
Anybody
fight.
would beat Bruce Lee.
Oh boy, don't get people started. People are gonna get bad.
Christine's a minus 6,000 against Bruce Lee.
I never seen a guy with no fighting record or footage get so much praise for being being compared to like Ali and Tyson and John Jones. Like this is crazy.
You could give Bruce Lee the Infinity Gauntlet.
Hey,
and he would still not win a real fight.
Look, topics are subject to change. I ain't gonna change the last topic. Given this, we could talk about Haney, a potential Haney progress, which might not even happen another week. Gervonta Davis has been taken into custody in an impromptu hearing. According to reports, nothing out yet from what I'm reading as to him doing any violation, but apparently will be serving the rest of his time in jail. The rest of his 90-day sentence in jail.
Wow.
Any reaction, babe?
Well, I originally thought that he would get like 3 months in jail. I was surprised when he was given house arrest, but I am a little surprised now though. Like, why would they change it now? Did the original judge get involved? Was she not happy with
They
it?
said there was an alleged house violation, is what I'm reading.
Is that what it is? Okay.
That's what they said. That's what they're saying, that he's having to serve the rest of his 90-day home detention sentence in jail due to an alleged violation of his house arrest.
Are you sure, Mario?
That's what I'm reading on. Let's see. This is No Smoke. Yeah. This is Rap House. I mean, I'll be honest. Like, yeah, these aren't like.
Look, I'm getting it from CBS News. So
okay, yeah. Then I'm gonna let you roll with it.
It was CNN. Okay, I get it. You know what I mean? But it is on CBS News.
What I'm guessing is maybe the old because the judge who sentenced him to the house arrest was not the same judge that originally denied his plea bargain. And that's why they were saying that he got off lighter. So I don't know if the old judge could have stepped. I don't know. I'm gonna have to do some research on it. But D-Star, proceed. I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
Well, no, that's all I had, really. I mean, that's I'm getting this right now. Like Calix sent me this. Mario has what he has. Everything's alleged, but we know he's in jail. Like he's behind bars right now.
That's crazy.
It was like 30 minutes ago.
Shocked. I mean, I think that sometimes some of these guys think that they're above the law. So something obviously happened in the house. Maybe he had some guys over there. I'm just talking, doing some things they weren't supposed to be doing.
Is that what happened?
No, I don't know. I'm just saying. Like,
wait, Christine is saying that he had a party to sell. What else, Christine?
No, I'm just saying something happened in the house, right? That's what they're saying. That something happened to violate his probation, his house arrest. So, he's like maybe thinking, well, it's my house. I do what I want. Nobody's going to come check in. And, somebody came knocking. I'm not shocked. I'm sorry. I wish I was. I wish I could say, oh, no, I just knew he was going to be Poindexter to the end of it all and not get into any trouble. But that's just not what I thought.
Bruce Lee had fights at boxing.
Bruce Lee is 0-0 in real fights.
Fought in like martial arts tournaments.
Did he have like boxing, amateur boxing fights like in college or some shit like that? Like, I mean,
it's never been found that none of his fights are on BoxRec.
I mean, I don't know.
If it's not on BoxRec, it didn't happen.
Do you think, Beeb, that he just felt emboldened? This is the guess. He felt emboldened. Hey, I'm getting away with it. He just did some shit he shouldn't have done, and now he's in jail.
They said he recently bought a condo, so I'm wondering, like, if you're on, why wouldn't you wait till after you're over with house arrest to buy a new condo? So, Christine, I don't know. Christine may be right. He could have done something's up here. We'll find out soon enough.
I think she's right in the sense that
everybody spread the word. Christine said that he had a party at his house.
No. I think the point that she's really making is that it didn't have to be his violation, right? Like, we've seen what's going on with Ja Morant over the last few weeks, right? Like, other people that you surround yourself can make poor decisions that have an impact on, the person who's actually making the money and in trouble. And so, look, the judge isn't going to be at home one day sitting and saying, you know what, I should have sent Gervonta to jail for a little bit. Like, that's not going to happen, right? It gets revoked out of like a punishment. and a punishment is due to a violation. And again, that doesn't mean that Tank himself had to do anything. A lot of times when they let you out on house arrest, you can't associate with known criminals. You can't be around people with weapons, a lot of these things. And so somebody comes over and it's like, shit. Exactly. You know what I mean? So it could be like a lot of things. So, but ultimately it's definitely in the ballpark of a parole or a violation of house arrest or the order.
I mean, so what's more real? Is arrest or Bruce Lee being the greatest fighter of all time?
Oh my gosh.
Definitely is arrest.
Bruce Lee's undefeated, man. He's 0-0. Never had a loss in his life. Got to give him credit for that.
For sure.
I just don't understand that. Like, how do you end up getting arrested after you got away with everything, and then in the end you get arrested? And like
his boys came over. They brought the drinks. They brought the women. They brought some smoke. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, somebody went to go check on the house. He's like, man, these are my boys. It wasn't me. They don't care. It was in his house. I'm just saying that it could have happened like that.
One thing I liked about Bruce Lee. That's one thing I liked about Bruce Lee. He was never under house arrest.
He's undefeated.
No, but Bruce Lee was married. So if you're married, it's pretty much house arrest, no?
That's house arrest, being married.
Do you have your husband in house arrest, Christine?
What'd you say?
Is your husband in house arrest?
He's on house arrest unless he's not.
Okay. I mean,
it's not house arrest. He loves to be with me as much as possible.
Like, you see what I mean?
Come on.
I'm just saying, I'm just saying. You know what I mean? But
no, he wants to go play golf for a few hours with our sons. He's more than welcome to.
You see, like someone needs to be accompany him.
I mean,
you see what I'm saying? I'm just saying
he needs permission to do that.
Absolutely. I may have plans. Absolutely. I may
It's
have
all
plans
good. It's all good.
a little picnic or something.
He's got to fill out a requisition before he does that.
Absolutely.
Hey, but it works the other way around too, right? Because if I'm like, hey, we're going to my parents on Saturday, and she's like, no, I'm going to my friend's baby shower. It's like, well, I could have checked.
My daughter-in-laws and my sister-in-laws.
There you go.
And then I can't go to your parents' house.
Exactly.
Except Mario's never on house arrest. Mario lays down the law. Like, you know what I mean? Mario's that guy that said, nah, I'm gonna go on the box. I'm gonna go on the boxing round table whether you like it or not.
Can you keep your voice down? My wife's in the other room. No, I'm just kidding.
He just shoot her out. You're gonna do that show again? Yeah, I'm gonna do that show. And what? Like, oh, Mario, you know, I got this style. Don't worry about it. Like,
it's your wedding anniversary. I don't care.
Right.
The round table needs me.
That's right. That's right. Anyway, guys, any final thoughts? I don't even know what to say because I don't have enough facts. So, anybody else have anything else to add?
Nothing.
I have no facts. My imagination.
By the way, for those asking, where's Flacca? Flacca's working for ESPN. If I got hired for ESPN, I'd be like, babe, I guess you're going to be doing the roundtable by yourself now.
Right.
Peace. You know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't see me again. Like,
good for her. Yeah.
You know, I'm just saying. No, but in all seriousness, so hopefully we'll have her back at one point. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But with that said, guys, I want to thank everybody that joined us. Christine.
Thank you.
Mario and Joe Habib. Check out the show with Eric Lord on Sunday. With that said, I appreciate everybody for joining us. Next week, Raceheart Reporter channel. Check out the roundtable. This is D-Style Boxing. Keep it boxing. We're out of here. Peace.
Thanks, guys. Good night.